All right, welcome everybody to the Beyond the Track. As usual, we record these things so that folks can catch up later. And we are going to be talking about this little guy here in just a little bit because he has got some real great stuff to share with us here, I'm pretty sure. Or actually, the order of my slides here are messy. Hold on, my apologies. Here we go. A minute. Quick introduction. I'm Claudio La Sala. I've been riding bikes since the 90s on the streets, and then picked up track riding just 3 years ago. So every time I do these videos, I put things in context to let people know. Look, usually I do a lot of the talk here, but it doesn't mean that I'm actually an expert or anything like that. I'm just a person who's always sharing stuff. Many times I just learn something and I feel I would be doing a disservice to the community if I didn't share whatever little I just learned. So that's why I always want to put things into context. Always big thanks to our BTT supporters on Patreon. I'm going to be talking about Patreon in just a little bit. And of course, you guys, both who are here sharing with us, live during the meeting, and then folks who watch these videos later, because I know you're out there. So that's the whole reason why we keep recording these, because I know people are watching. What is the Beyond the Track? It's a place where we can get together, right? And still learn, improve our riding, even though we're not on the track. I've been very adamant about, disliking when you ask, more experienced riders, hey, so how do I, how can I get faster? How can I be better? And the only thing that I hear back is seat time. It's like, well, yes, I know that getting on the bike, sitting on the bike and riding will help me for sure. That's needed, is a requirement, but that's not all. I cannot afford being on the track riding every single day. So when I'm not at the track on the bike, what else can I do to get better? Well, there are things to do it. One of the things, make friends, get to know your track friends, people who are sharing the track with you, people who are sharing the paddock with you, right? That's a very great way to share experiences and learn from each other. Folks that you trust actually, looking out for each other at the track. And whenever, unfortunately, we do go down, that happens. And if that does happen, having people around you who you trust, help you out, it's always a great thing. We run these meetings every month. We've been doing this for almost 3 years now, in presence, right prior to pandemic. Since the pandemic started, we've been doing it virtually, and it's been working out well. Everybody can join in every Thursday of every month. All of these videos are recorded. You go up to the website, beyondthetrack.net. There is a meeting videos. There's almost 40 hours worth of free video from all these topics that we've talked about. So make sure to check it out. If you become a patron of the Beyond the Track, you help us, you encourage us to keep doing these things, as well as keep improving the experience that we are offering here through all of these free videos, through things like I'm going to mention in just a moment, but also improving like getting a logo, getting a banner so that people can identify us at the tracks and, build this community, as well as getting access to a members only part of the website with the tools that we have to help us with the logistics, because, this is a very expensive sport. So knowing where your money is going so that you can optimize those expenditures and, allowing you to get to ride more. Doing track day plans, track day debriefs, doing checklists, all of these things, that's part of the things that we are building into the website. Yeah, I have that all up there on the website if you want to check it out later. And as I hinted at this, so one of the things that came out of having folks joining is as patrons of the Beyond the Track, well, we have, little bit of cash there that allows us to make some little improvements, as well as encourage certain things that are really working out. So we heard that our friend Garrett was going to be racing last weekend, and we said, why not have the Beyond the Track, sponsor Garrett's, races this weekend, because both Garrett and his dad, Earl / coach, we've been hanging out at the track together a lot, exchanging experiences, following each other, giving pointers to each other, and growing together. And we've been able to see Garrett, just the kind of improvement that he has made this year since we first met him, which was just a couple of months ago, really. And depending on how when we've met, I remember that I've met Garrett. I think it was February, if I'm not mistaken, February or March. Uh, and just seeing him ride like nowadays, it's a lot of improvement. So since Garrett's on the call, I asked before the call, I didn't want to like put you on the spot and like throw you under the bus without letting you know, but I definitely want to hear out from you, Garrett. How did the races go? I know that you did well, but if you could share with us what kind of experiences did you have there? What are the highlights? Was it a good closing for your first year in racing? Tell us about it, man.
So yeah, it was an amazing race year. The first half was a little bumpy, but yeah, we worked through it, and it was a really good racing season. But yeah.
Outstanding. If you were like to single out or throw out there like two or three things, like what were the highlights for you in this first year?
So definitely the highlights were um
Hey guys,
learning.
it's Earl. I'm sorry I broke away for a minute just because I wanted to at least join you guys. Garrett's on his phone, and so
Oh,
I
that's
just wanted to say hi.
speaking of the devil. I
Yeah,
just
no,
said your
whenever he's
name
done,
like
whenever he's
30
done,
seconds
I was
ago.
gonna add a couple of things in, just as what I saw from the sidelines and what Garrett did. But yeah, I'll let him talk.
Awesome.
So yeah, the highlights were definitely race 2 and 4, just because those were the times that the track was the driest and at its peak of the day.
Did the conditions go from worse to better to worse? The weather change a lot, or was it kind of consistently improving throughout the day?
It was like off and on. That track is really temperamental, so it was like raining and then dry and then raining and then dry and then it was wet
Mm,
in different places.
So,
yeah, it sounds like
so I'll,
every
I'll
time out was different.
yeah, it was, and guys, I'll just add just a little bit, just because, and sorry, I didn't want to take away from y'all's time, but I wanted to make sure at least if I got a little bit of a break, I could come and join you guys. But yeah, no, the highlights of the season definitely, Garrett. There are like, at least from my perspective, there were like three milestones, right? First is getting over that initial hump of being scared of speed and the track. So, and then Cody, who was his, essentially his mentor in the first couple of months, left, and so that left a void where, you know, thankfully we ran into you guys, but that was kind of a figuring out period because he's so young, I can't really translate some of those skills to him. But then there's also that father son dynamic where he's going to get mad at me and I'm going to get mad at him, and he always listens to you guys better than he listens to me. So that was kind of one of those things. But definitely track conditions. He is right. That track is extremely temperamental. I've tried to figure it out in my head, but I couldn't.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. One of the other highlights was essentially after a couple months after Cody left, he realized that he's either going to have to. It's kind of a dog eat dog thing when it comes to the races. Uh, Track days not so much because we're among friends and whatever. But it's a whole different mindset if he has MotoGP aspirations. And I think it was after that second highlight that he actually made up his mind that that's what he wanted to do. But he also had to ride a track different than Katie. So the second milestone essentially was when we started riding different tracks, so speed sports, and then jumping into the CMRA and racing at MSRH. That was kind of big. Obviously, Coda as well, and I don't recommend this for everybody, but he jumped tracks and bikes sooner than I would recommend for even myself or anybody. But we were lucky enough to find people that were willing to donate their time, just like you guys, and offer support. So there was a little bit of wind in the sails, so to speak. And then I think the last major milestone was essentially when you win your first race or podium, whether it's first, second, or third, it doesn't matter. It's a huge feeling. Um, And just to know that and Viet said something that was very, very poignant. Even though it's funny because, I watched Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby, his dad said, you ain't first, you're last. Actually, you know what? If you're not last, you're doing okay. So, and I think when he started like placing, then he realized, oh, I might actually be okay at this. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe all the money that I'm spending is not actually wasted. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say those are the three highlights. The lowlights, I would say, forgetting some of the bad habits. That was a huge deal. Learning, just like Claudio, that picture that he sent, where the dude's like leading, and then like little tiny elite level subtle moves like dropping elbow, tucking knee, right?
Right.
Those kinds of things. So, but those are hard. So forgetting or teaching your muscles certain things, and then tweaking your bike, because it only goes so far, but you're also trying to ride with integrity, so you're not trying to cheat. And
Right.
So you want to do the right thing. You want to go out there and ride what you got, ride what you brung, and go home at the end of the day saying that I won because, or I didn't win because, whatever. But at the end of the day, at least it was honest. So just overcoming those obstacles. And I think for me and him, I think personally, like just learning that racing circuit is so different from track. It is a totally different mindset. But as you guys all get better, it's just going to be that much easier to make that transition. We unfortunately went from cold to like into the boiling water. So yeah. So those are three highlights and at least from my perspective. So I'll give it back to Garrett. Hope that helped.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Jesse here.
Hey, Jesse. Welcome,
Hey,
man.
Garrett, I have two questions for you, and I'm interested to see what your answers are. What is your favorite part of racing? Whether it's the competitive part or just pushing your limits, or what keeps you wanting to be a racer rather than just a track day artist?
So, my favorite part of racing is that feeling once it doesn't matter what place you come in, that feeling once you come off the track and you're like, all right, one down, 64 million to go. Let's it more experience. So, yeah, my favorite part of racing is coming off of that track and then just feeling that rush of just, I don't know how to say this, but just this awesome feeling that rushes through your body and you're like, yes, I did it.
What are some of the things you have to think about, Garrett, when you're racing versus going to a track day? I know it's a different experience for many different reasons, but what is one thing that you're, just as an example, that you're thinking about on a race day that if you just went to a regular track day like we do when we hang on the weekend, what's some of the different mindset you have to bring with you to a race that's different from just setting a good time and general improvement?
All of the work that goes into a track day is always going to go into a race day. So a track day is learning what it essentially all the work needs to go into a race.
Yeah. Are there other aspects that you've had to, one example that's just obvious from, watching MotoGP is the start because, well, you probably practice your starts, whereas Michael Horecki definitely does not practice starts. Are there any other things like that that you've had to work on as drills that you don't necessarily do on a regular track day?
So there are drills that we do with my dad and me, and so we would go to an empty lot and we would just do circles or launches. And launches are very, very important because it puts you in the front and then all your riding takes away or like takes off from there. So
Yeah, that's got to be really key because you're doing what, 5 or 6 lap sprint races?
Yeah, he had to step away real quick, guys.
Oh, no problem.
You guys are honestly addictive because like I stepped away and I was like, wait a minute, I'm missing out. Jesse, your question on track, because we actually had a huge conversation about this, right? Jesse, it was you that asked, right? I thought I heard it from the study, but were you asking like what was different between track and race?
Oh, that was Michael, but I do want to know that answer.
Oh yeah. So what Garrett, I think what he was trying to articulate was, so everything that you do in track day, it's fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's all supposed to be fun. But, it's just like in any other sport. Practice is really sometimes fun, but sometimes not so much, especially when you're, if you ever low side or whatever. But whatever you do, race day is when all the chips are out there. You leave it all on the track. Otherwise, I mean, if you don't intend to win or place or podium, which may or may not be the right attitude, but if he has aspirations of going to MotoGP, I told him, and this is the truth of the matter, there's a million other kids that want it just the same. So you've got to do it, and it's got to pay off. Track days are they're amazingly fun because it's kind of relaxed. Actually, it's very relaxed. But race day, it's the mentality that I told Garrett is it's time to forget all the bad. It's time to the day before or even 2 days before start jotting down all the good, all the bad. Let's knock out all the bad. Forget about it. Let's just remember the good. And go out there and remember. And it's usually 3 or 4 things the human body, the mind can usually accommodate 2 or 3 things in a given circuit. So I was like, just over time, just keep working on it. No one's going to expect anyone to come first in their very first race. But to that other question, and I forget, what was it? The one you guys asked after that regarding, oh my gosh, I forget what it was. I'm so sorry.
The type of drills.
Oh, the drills. Yeah.
You may practice.
So,
Yeah.
This is why I kind of came running back over to the living room. So static movement drills. So like your body is composed of slow and fast twitch fibers, as well as a lot of like stabilizer muscles. And so the goal between diet and nutrition and training is you're gonna train your primary what I call racing muscles during your track day. What is going to really make a difference is things like how do you get over fatigue? How do you are you taking potassium pills? Garrett hates to eat bananas, so I got a potassium pills. It's $5, but he doesn't wake up with a crooked neck on a Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah.
So those kinds of things, right? But in terms of drills, very, very slow and controlled. Like we're talking extremely. So if you guys weight train, which I'm sure all you guys do, is there is a moment, and one of the key, and the only reason I say this because my undergrad's in Canadian sports is like if you need to get over a plateau, and if you're a weightlifter, they tell you to like stop focusing on your positive movements and focus on negatives. The negatives will actually, which means on a bench press, your down is a negative. So take the negatives super slow. And then that's going to like rewire your fast twitch fibers and your stabilizer muscles. Same thing goes for your legs. On a squat, go very slow down, explode up. Or go very fast down and very slowly climb up. And so those kinds of variations is something that Garrett wasn't comfortable doing, but those are the things that, we kind of had to incorporate into our training. But yeah, in terms of drills for the, like me, I'm broke as a joke. So my cheapest option is to go to the elementary school with Garrett and have him do very slow static drills. And, and as much as he hates it, his punishment from when he was a baby, like 5 years old or whatever, is stand up against the wall with his back squatted down, thighs at a 90-degree angle from the floor, and stand there for as long as you can. But it's just things like, yeah, read a book, do something, right? But yeah, so, but those very slow figure eights, those will, and then the more you keep it, and I was trying to like tell you guys this the last time, but I think it was just so busy. The one thing that we are going to do next year is on his bike, whichever bike, either the R3 or the 190. I am going to get. They make this thing called a cheap man's cruise control. It looks just like a little paddle that goes on your throttle, and
Oh
you can't.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You've seen it, right? So you guys
Yeah,
have all.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't go past a certain point. So essentially 10, 15 miles an hour. But it's what police officers use to control their Harleys at very, very low speeds to make them efficient in fast chases,
Hmm.
um, and keep them safe. So, so yeah, so very like creative things like that. But yeah,
Yeah, we need a video of that. Those kind of drills, Earl, man, nobody ever talks about stuff
no,
like that.
no,
That
that's secret stuff that I had to like find out. Just like going around and asking people that were so annoyed by me, they were just like, "Fine, we'll tell you, just leave us alone."
It's like-
You know.
yeah, by giving stuff like that to a guy like me, you're not giving anything away. It's not going to come back and bite you, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, the
But it
what I told Garrett
definitely
is
helps
this.
me.
Yeah, what I told Garrett is this. At the end of the day, every rider is different. Every body is different. I don't care if every single person has the same nutrition, diet, and training plan. It's all going to be different results because at the end of the day, you're wired differently, we're made uniquely, and your mind is different.
Yeah.
So, what harm does it do? At the very least, all I could do is expect a great, awesome race to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Bring everybody forward.
Right?
Raise the overall level of everybody.
Yeah.
Then it
Yeah.
gets interesting.
That's exactly right. Instead of having like this crowd of people in the middle and there's like this cloud and then you got the front two and there's all this the poor guys in the back are like trying to catch up and now they're riding beyond their ability and now
Yeah.
it's not cool. So yeah, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
That leads to my second question, Earl, is what advice would you give a rider, like let's say myself, that wants to get into racing? And what summarize, like let's just give me like, you know, small little synopsis of what you would tell someone before they
I,
get into racing, things you've learned along the way.
the very first thing is be real about the financials. See what it costs to get into a race and what bike is feasible for what race. So financials, like is it going to be sustainable throughout the year? Have some parts on hand. Use the off season, like between now and New Year's, to just stock up on the parts for the bike that you are going to ride, so you don't have to worry about those kinds of things. And I'm not talking about big stuff, just things like chains and lube and oil.
Yeah.
The A.
Grips.
So now you've got, because now you're actually like stockpiling um, stuff that racers have, the pros bring in their stuff anyway. So that's the very first thing is financials. Second is don't go beyond like because you never know how a day or the weather is going to be, but don't go beyond the limit in terms of a circuit, not necessarily a race, but in a circuit. For instance, TMGP is a very reasonable circuit. They ride smaller tracks. CMRA is a little bit more aggressive. AMGPS, if they're still a thing, I don't know. I haven't looked into them, but they're pretty aggressive too. So between the financials and understanding, which races you can actually learn something from, not necessarily win or even podium, but just what can you learn from. And the last thing is, and this may sound weird, but I had to use this for Garrett only because he's young. I wanted to look at which riders consistently go to which races. And not because I have anything against them, because a lot of riders are fine placing third or fourth all the time. However, their goal is really not to accumulate points for a first place. Their goal is to accumulate overall points over the season so that they can place. Because obviously, someone who's going to go and win first is going to be a lot faster. They're throwing the dice on the fact that they may or may not wreck. So they'll lose that place. So it's easier to be safe than sorry. But you
Mm.
got that's kind of an ego check, right? So so that's why I say CMRA is a little bit faster. TMGPS is a little bit more technical, but I think a lot more reasonable for guys like us. At least that's what I wanted to have Garrett do. So I would say financials, making sure that The track and the racers are exactly within your comfort level. But, you know, riding Coda, riding MSRH, yeah, that was stretching Garrett quite a bit. However, you get back on something like TMGPS at Katy or Speed Sports, that's, now it's a little bit easier, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so just, I mean, it's different for everybody, but man, for me being a single dad, financials are huge. I just had to like make sure this is something that's sustainable and doable. Um, and and even if we didn't win, are we doing okay to where you want to keep pursuing it next year? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
It's
sorry, those are not glorious goals or aspirations, but if someone's going to get into it, unless you're a millionaire, there's just,
That's awesome because like that those are the things that people don't tell you. You see like all the glitter and shine and racing and whatnot. You do see some of the gory stuff, but
yep,
like you don't really get like down to the fibers of what makes things run the way that they do. Like how do you keep the machine going?
yep, exactly. And then, one of the things that you guys asked Garrett about earlier, and I was walking away, I was kind of thinking about it. You said, what's different between track day and race day? Besides, that, yeah, it all needs to pay off. For race day, you've got to be able to envision, when you're talking about, your mind, your brain, and really beyond the track, that's what comes to my mind is you've got to have this tunnel vision to where you can visualize yourself on that podium. And on race day, like Cody is a different person on race day than he is on track days. And he is cool, he's chill, but you could tell he is focused. There's, he's very cordial, but there's no goofing around. It's just business, tire
mm-hmm.
temperatures, everything. But all that will come over time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to add that, even before getting into it, make sure that you understand why you want to get into it. And then, everything else, it's pretty much what Earl said. Because, like, when I did races last year, I had a very specific goal. Like, I'm not doing this to win points, to win championship, to none of that. My goal was very specific. I wanted to know exactly like the answer to Jesse's question. Well, I've been riding track days. How is it different if I want to ride races? Well, let me go do it myself, and then I'll know because there were people coming to the Beyond the Track meetings asking me that question, and it was not something that I had experienced myself, so I couldn't even say, dude, it's like I don't know anything. So let me go and try it. So, if you want to get into races, why do you want to do it, right? Are you there for the competition part of it? If you want to compete, okay, do you want to go for sprint races or do you want to do endurance?
yep,
Because that's going to change, right? If you're going to do sprint, oh, you better, launch really well because you're fighting for turn one. If you're doing endurance, you're going to be out there for hours. So, being the first, around the, turn one, when race starts, that's not as much of a big deal. So you have to know those things and then understand, like Earl said, the financials behind it. Because one thing is to run endurance races all year on an NSR 50. Another one is to ride, say, 4 or 5 sprint races with CMRA every round on your liter bike, right? Just the cost with tires alone, holy cow, right? So you need to understand again why. Start with the why. Why do you want to get into it? What do I need to know, and how do I do it, and what are the costs associated with that?
yeah, no, those are excellent points, Claudio. And and I'll tell you this, guys, and this is one thing that I tell kids all the time that want a little bit of coaching, but it holds true for me and every single one of us. Don't let anybody intimidate you. Do not let anybody for 1 second make you feel like you belong in a bad grid position or a podium or less than a podium finish or whatever. run your race, your lines, and that's it.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, that is absolutely huge. So yeah, no, I mean, you guys bring up some good points. And Claudio, if you want, I mean, I've kept notes, all you guys actually, but said Claudio because you could probably post it up. I've got notes all through this year that I've typed up, bulleted out, that really addresses a lot of this stuff that you guys are talking about, and it'll break
Mhm.
it down to a very finite level of detail, in layman's terms. So I could send Claudio that, and Claudio, if you guys want, you can post that up.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
Hey
yeah.
Earl, I got a quick question for you. I don't mean to divert, but I'm looking at the picture on the screen, and this was a question I had earlier that Garrett didn't. He wasn't still on here to ask. There is blue painter's tape on the gas tank in front of the decal. What
Yep.
is the blue painter's tape there for?
So the blue painter's
Yeah,
tape is there.
perfect.
Yeah, so it's when they put grid positions out there, right? So TMGP, CMRA does it as well, but uh, so far I think those are the only two we've raced. So when they put grid positions out there, you have to know what row and what position in what race. So if he's lined up for F7 novice, expert, and intermediate, and F5 novice, so that's 6 races. So what I do is I just go take a picture with my phone, and I told Viet to do the same thing. Is go take a picture of the phone. Then you're gonna need to put something on your tank and write down race 1, row 2, position right, or
Ah,
position left, or
Yeah.
position center. So that's what that tape is for.
Yeah.
gotcha. So
Great
that's
question,
definitely
because we
something I
showed up
don't
on our
have to
first
do on
race.
an open track day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And let
exactly,
me
right?
tell you,
So
yeah, I did the same when I was racing last year, and there was one race, one of my first races that I didn't do it. I forgot to do it, and it's horrible when you go out to the warm up lap, and then now you're supposed to get on the grid, and you realize, oh crap, I do not remember for the life of me my role and where I should be.
yep.
It's the worst feeling, man. It's like, ah.
Well, it happened to Viet. I don't know if Viet's on here, but it happened to Viet, and it threw him off for the rest. I could tell, like, threw him because it was his first day, poor guy. And
Right.
I was sitting there telling, I was like, dude, write it down, do whatever. But he's, I don't know what happened, but he was just having fun. I told him, I was like, but he missed one of the launches, and or he missed the call out, because a lot of times they don't call out. You've got to watch. What races are 5 laps, 6 laps, and at the most, I think it's 8, depending on what you do. But yeah, you've got to kind of keep track of what laps and when, so that if for some odd reason you missed that, when you. So if you're on race 10 and your next race is race number 17, you've got X amount of time to go rehydrate and do whatever.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I didn't do this past time, or this last time, which I did the time before, but it wound up being too much information for Garrett, was actually write down the time between races, because that's not necessarily, I mean, it's not really helpful, because that's a variable, right?
Right.
So, so yeah, so that, all right, if you're on race number 10 and race number 11, well, you're going to go back to back. So you make sure you've got gas in your tank. Make sure your tires are at the right temp, way before.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, so it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
all the
Yep.
little details.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
We were, dude, our first race, oh my gosh, we were scrambling. And I swear to you, if Cody was in there and his dad wasn't there, I'd have been lost. I'm like, why is
Yeah.
everybody putting tape on their tanks? I have no tape. What do you mean I need a marker for what?
Yeah. I
know?
bring a Sharpie with me? What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. But
Little
yeah,
things like that.
Seth is funny. He's got to the point where I think he got Sharpies with those little tiny magnets on there that he tapes, so he could just like throw them onto that metal fence and it just sticks there.
Oh, clever.
Wow.
Just what
Yeah.
you need to come by.
Those are little things, bro. Like every second counts,
All
Yeah.
the things we learn from each other.
Yep.
Yes. Exactly. Well, thanks Earl and Garrett a lot. Again, I remember Garrett said that he had a hard stop at 7, and I'm just looking at the time. I want to be, you know, respectful of time
Yep.
always. So yes, thanks guys very much for sharing that. I'm so happy, following the news from the track. Thanks Earl for keeping us posted. What was going on there, since we couldn't really like go and watch. Violating their rules. So I definitely chose to stay home. But I was like, man, what's happening? I need to know what's happening. Darn it!
Yeah,
I
I
want to
know.
see
I,
it.
I was craving the live feed. Thank you for the WhatsApp and everything you guys put on there, because it was like,
Oh yeah, dude.
wow, the weather was
Yep.
so different between there and
That's
California.
pretty
It was
much
like, give
it. But
me
yeah,
some little bits. Where are you at back home?
Yeah, it's one of those, like Sunday was so much better than Saturday, and Sunday there was nothing going on. I mean, it was so much fun, but still. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'll send you guys like a quick whenever you post that up. I'll go back and I'll kind of review it. I got a
back in.
little bit of time. Yeah.
All right.
So
So back in 2018, our friend Jason Chain actually shared, how he's been using the AIM Solo 2, data logger to analyze his writing and, look for rooms of improvements that, things that he can work on. And then earlier this year in February, Michael shared also his experiences with it. And then tonight he's, sharing more because, people like myself, I tweak with the Solo 2, like once in a blue moon. So I every time forget how to do even the most basic things, because it's the software that comes along with it. It's not the most intuitive one.
Right.
And for me, if I have like 40 minutes, let's say, coming back from the track, and then I'm downloading the data and putting things, where they have to go, and I have 40 minutes to analyze my data, and it takes me 30 minutes to figure out how to do the most basic thing on the software, I give it up and I go do other things because, this is not what I do for a living.
Right.
So and
Yeah.
since I know that Michael has been spending a lot of time learning how to do some of those, so then again, thanks, man, for coming back and sharing some of the basics with us here.
Oh,
No
absolutely, man.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I know a lot of people in the group have managed to pick these up, including Jesse, yourself. The group is growing, but the documentation and tips on actually making use of the software is almost non-existent on the internet at this point.
right.
So what I wanted to do tonight was, I'm not providing a whole lot, but I just wanted to give a couple quick how-tos so that you can go to the video, watch 60 seconds, get your answer, and then get into the software and actually get to some of the info.
Awesome.
This isn't going to be in depth or anything, but um, Claudio and I were talking. One of my goals is always to be able to share my data with other people and vice versa, to assess things or make comparisons. Because a lot of times the raw data is only the raw data. What you're looking for is the differences between the data. Um, so I wanted to give some
Michael, I'm
things
so
that,
sorry,
as
guys, but
Claudio points out.
we have to drop off. I'm so
Oh,
sorry to
sure.
interrupt you. So it was great talking to you guys. Claudio, I'll send you guys the info later. Y'all have
Perfect,
a
man.
wonderful
Thanks for
night.
joining us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, catch you again soon. Thanks, Earl.
Yes, sir.
So
Awesome.
what I'm going to do here is I will share my screen out here. Boom. Okay, should be seeing my screen there. So a couple of things I wanted to go over was, again, how to use the Race Studio software. I'm going to start with sharing data. Can you guys see my screen okay? Did it pop up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I first open the software, it's going to show all of the data sessions that I've downloaded in the screen called Test Database. This should pop up by default here. And what I'm going to do is it gives me some criteria here that I can search for things. So I'm going to click on this one that says search for driver, and I'm going to look for, let's see if we have any of Jesse's laps here, because I can send this to you, Jesse, once we're done. So looks like I have a Katie session from you, 57 lap time. Maybe this is one you shared with me, as a matter of fact. It's quite possible. So once I've selected what I want to look at here, here's your test data. And this is really easy. This is why this is a 60-second video. Highlight the one you want, go up to data, and choose export test. So what I'm going to do here is just save the file. And I'm going to give it a name here. I'll leave the date on it. And then I'll put your name on it. Sorry, I'm typing one-handed because my left side of my body or right side of my body doesn't work. I'm going to just save this to the documents folder, and it's going to create a file there. Now that file is now something I could zip up and I could send to somebody else. Take a look here, date modified. So here's your data here in a single file. You'll recognize the icon on that. I can now attach that to an email and send it to you. What that looks like here is I have some from other people. I'll show as an example. Sorry, trying to scroll one-handed again. So I have Seth's data down here. I just open this and it's going to open in Race Studio here. What I'm going to see once it loads. So there's Seth's data. And then I can do comparisons. I can also look at my data to compare it. But the first point is you got to first get the data. So that was that quick demo, how to share your data. It's as simple as generating a file. Okay. So what I'm going to do...
Michael, question.
Yeah.
When we export it like this, it creates 4 files. Do we have to send over the 4 files or just that main DRK one?
So, a very good question, Claudio. I would send all 4. Here's why. Each one contains different data. If you don't send all 4, you might get the data plot, for example, like we're seeing here. But what you won't get is where the start-finish line is. I've run into this problem before. I was comparing your data and my data, and your start-finish line was slightly different than the one I had loaded on my system. Now, I can fix that, but I don't want to spend 40 minutes in the software going and fixing the start-finish for both sets of data just so I can compare them. So the extra time it takes just to attach the 4 files, put them in a folder, zip up the folder, works much better and make your life much better when you're trying to do analysis.
Good.
So the second thing I wanted to do was, now that I have Seth's data open here, lap manager, this tab shows all the laps that are in that data set. So we'll see Seth has a bunch of 52-second laps here. And I believe this one was at Speed Sports. Yes. So the second demo I'm going to give you is how to put this racing line onto Google Maps so you can see your line on the track. This is pretty simple to do. Takes about a minute. And this is something you can very usefully look at, say, your slow lap versus your fast lap and say, are there differences in the line? So with that said, what I have is my session open here in a tab. Once I've opened the data and I see my lap times, I'm going to go up to the File menu here and I'm going to choose Data Export. It's going to open a window, and then I'm going to choose where I want to save my file, and I'm just going to overwrite it since I've already done this before. And I'm going to save the file there and click Yes. I'm going to overwrite it. This will always pop up by default. Just click OK. Now you need to choose the type of file you want to create. You can create multiple ones, but for Google Maps, choose Google Earth, KML file. The next thing we're going to do down here is come in and select the laps we want to see. So I am going to, this is his first lap out, which is 22 seconds because he didn't make a full lap. So I'm just going to look for a relatively good lap here and highlight that one. And then I'm going to look for one of his slower laps. Here's a 55. And I'm going to highlight the ones I want to see. And then I'm going to click Save. And I'm going to check Yes, overwrite it. And it's saved, and I can close it out. So I'm going to put aside the software now. I've now generated my file. And hopefully I can figure out where I generated it to. Let's see. Scroll up. Okay, so here's Seth's best lap and also the additional one. All I'm going to do is double click on this and it's going to open in Google Earth. So again, all I've done is exported the data that I wanted to see from that session and the laps I want to see. And it's going to draw the laps on Google Earth. Now, I'm going to do a couple other things here. Once it puts it down there, is I'm going to want to come in here and possibly change the color of the laps so that they stand out, because I have done this before. Let me turn off the other lines that were on there. And then I have Seth's new laps down here. And by default, I just want to point this out because you may want to plan 3 or 4 laps. They come in yellow, so they're overlaid on top of each other, but they're the same color. If I come in here and double click, right click, choose properties, and I'm going to come in here and change the color. I'm going to do yellow and I'll do a green line, for example. So here I have lap 6. And I have lap 3. Now, lap 3 was the slower lap. Lap 6 was the faster one. You have to keep those in mind. But at this point, I can now zoom in on the map and take a look at the 2 lines on the track. You'll notice they are very different. So the green line, the fast lap, if we go around the circuit, Seth is going in shallow and running it in really deep in the first turn. Carrying that through, he's taking a wider, a tighter line over the candy stripe there. And we can make some comparisons. And if you want to look at other laps in the session, we'll see he's taking a very late apex here at this corner. This is the faster green line where he's preserving corner speed here. Again, on the slower lap, he turned in early. So there's a lot of things we can see by comparing lines, and you'll want to go lap by lap. Maybe you want to look at different days, for example. But this is a pretty simple tool to get the data into Google Earth and take a look at the different lines on the same track. The only other thing I wanted to mention about this is you need to make sure the track actually shows up on Google Maps. If you go to Speed Sports, for example, on Google Maps, the only thing you're going to see is a bunch of trees here. So you're going to see your ridden line overlaid on the top of trees, which is totally useless.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, but at places like Coda and MSRH, it's all good. Anyway, so that's one of the tools you can use is load Google Earth on your computer, because Google Maps alone doesn't work in a web browser. You got to have Google Earth. But you can export the data so it's something you can see there. So I'm going to discard. So that's one of the things I frequently do once I get my data home is I pull up my session, I look at the laps that I want to take a look at, and then I export them for use with Google Earth. So once I have some data, here's Seth's data, and I'm going to go back down to the test database that has everything I've ever done that's been loaded. I'm going to filter out. It's going to show me all riders now. What I'm going to look for is my own lap times at Speed Sports here. Let's see, looking for my name.
Wait, do you mean Katie or Speed Sports?
Oh, sorry, I meant Katie,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just going to pull up one at random here. So we'll see over here I have Seth's laps and I have my laps. So if I wanted to compare Seth's lap at Katie to mine, I can look for his best lap. My best lap here is lap 15. At the very bottom, it's highlighted at 15. Because I can turn on or off these laps here. So if I want to compare my lap 10, my lap 12, my lap 15, I can do that. But just to simplify for this demo, I'm going to choose my fast lap, and then I'm going to go to Seth's data and find his fast lap, which is 52.5, I think. Yeah. So that's lap 6. So I come down here at the bottom. This is Seth's lap. I want to highlight 6. And it has a bit of a lag to it, and I'm going to turn off. The software says his first lap was the fastest, which is technically correct, but he didn't go all the way around the track. So, so what it's done when I select these laps down here for me and Seth is they're now overlaid on the same lap graph. The other thing I want to point out for y'all is these numbers up at the top. The green sections are the straightaways. The blue ones are left-hand turns. The red ones are right-hand turns, and they're numbered. So this isn't really intuitive when you look at it, when you're comparing data. But what I can do is click on the button here. Oh, let me show you this first. You have to go to map and tell it what track you're at. So I'll go to lap manager, and I have to look for the track that I'm on, whether it's counterclockwise, clockwise, etc. So for this one, we were going counterclockwise, and you'll see the blue turns, the red turns, and the straightaways. Now, this was a map I made for myself. That's a whole nother discussion. But once I select the map I want, I'm going to choose load for open tests. So now it's going to put these corners up here and reconcile them against my data so that at this point, I can now come up. If at this point, here's Seth's maximum speed of about 52, 53 miles an hour. And if I click on the track map, it'll show me where I am on the track when that happens. And again, this works better if you have multiple monitors.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where Seth is on the straightaway when he hits his top speed. If I compare that to my data, I hit my top speed, which is lower than his by a big chunk, about 5 miles an hour. You'll see it moves the crosshair on the track. So I reach my top speed a little bit later, which that makes sense. Seth's going faster. It also means he starts slowing down at this point on the track. I don't slow down till a little bit later because my speed's not as high. So I can make some comparisons from the data by comparing the two laps. So I can see there's turn 2 after that, and we can see that Seth's corner speed or minimum speed there is higher than mine. He carried more speed before he started accelerating than I did. So I can compare some of these things between how I'm riding versus how Seth's riding. And one thing I look at this data and see is that usually his speed is higher. You'll notice the peak here when he starts braking is higher. And it means he also starts braking sooner because his speed is higher. And that's pretty consistent across all of these charts. He generally hits higher speed and he starts braking a little bit sooner. Not always the case, but we can see some of these trends here. I think his bike has more horsepower since we roughly weigh the same. We're riding almost identical bikes except for the engine differences. And the other thing we can see is how well the bike accelerates. You'll notice the slope of the line here is relatively parallel, but he's also, at this point on the track, he's higher. You'll notice here in this corner, and again, remember when we get to this end of the graph, it starts over here. And we can watch the acceleration. You'll see his bike tends to be accelerating out of the last corner a little bit better. So my minimum speed in turn 11, and again, I can go back to the map and just keep looking. Where are we at the track and where are these differences occurring? So that's where I am on the track. I can select a different point on the track and ask, well, at this point, who has the higher exit speed? Turn 9, switch back to the graph. Whoops. Sorry. This is why I like separate monitors. There's not enough room for everything. And you'll see the crosshairs on the graph show that his exit speed here, he is roughly 7 miles an hour faster at that point on the track coming out of that corner. So you also see he got his drive started before I did. So he started exiting and generating speed sooner than I did, which is definitely a positive. So something I can learn from him. The other graph down here at the bottom, it gives you by comparison is the difference in seconds between Seth's line and mine. He's faster, so that's the baseline. I can also take a look here and see where am I gaining speed back on Seth. At this point, I'm starting to make up time on him, which I'm doing better at this point out of turn 1 to this point, just starting turn 2. So I'm a little bit stronger from turn 1 to turn 2. At various points here, he starts to gap me. At this point, I get just a little tiny bit back, and then he starts to gap me again. Then I get a little bit more back in this short section between turn 4 and turn 5. So we can make some comparisons and see what we can learn from the graphs just by comparing. This ties back to how do we share our data in the first place so we can look at each other and compare and see. One, we can put it in Google Earth and look at the lines and see if there's a difference for the lines. So if I wanted to compare these 2 laps, I could. I could see where Seth is starting his drive out of this corner, which was clearly better than mine. You can see again here, he got his drive earlier. Same thing here. He got his drive started earlier. Here he lost a lot of corner speed, but he really started to get the drive out really strongly there. Here, I tend to be kind of maintenance throttle in turn 11. So if I wanted to know right there. You also see I started to accelerate, then I stopped, then it started to accelerate again. Seth's is more pronounced than mine. Again, I'm looking at that little bump, but some of that is just lap-to-lap variation, some of these minor differences here. So these are some of the tools we can look at and determine what corners do we need to work on. What corners might someone else know a secret that they're willing to share with us about how to put together better. So this is how I use some of that data, just using 3 basic things. Sharing the data so I have something to look at, track lines, and then actually putting it up on the same graph side by side, and then using the map tool here. There's a button for it. And pulling that up to be able to compare. I don't know if there's any other things you want to see in the software at this point. I'm happy to show you, but the software gets so complex I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I wanted to have something on the video that's relatively short and digestible, though.
Sure. I mean, yeah, this is awesome. Again, thanks for doing that. There are a few things there that I knew, other things that's like, oh, that's been there all this time and I had not seen it. Or it's like, the software, it's so convoluted in the way that it has like tabs at the top, tabs at the bottom, and then more stuff at the bottom. And, it's too much and it's hard to find stuff around. So I was just trying to follow along with some of the stuff that you're showing, but what I'm seeing here is slightly different. I don't seem to be getting the same kind of view that you are in the measures graph.
Yeah.
I wonder
so
why that
one thing I
is.
was going to suggest on the measures graph that gets screwed up for me is the range of the scale over on the left side. It will cut off the top of the graph and I can't see all the data, or it starts at like 26 miles an hour and you can't see the bottom. And it is a pain in the butt because over here on this side, I have to look for the speed, GPS speed. I have to come in and right click on it, and then there's plotting scale. So I have to actually go into the speed, find GPS speed, and change this scale to say 60. And the minimum speed, I'm going to raise that to say 20. And apply and exit. and that will change kind of the view of what I'm seeing. And these are the little things about the software that absolutely make me crazy because I spend so much time trying to correct just so I can see what I need to be able to see. So here it should have been correcting that, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take to generate the stupid graph again.
Right.
It's thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah, I just changed that. Yeah, mine was like going all the way up to like, and mine is set to kilometers per hour, and it was like going all the way up to 320.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, okay, where do I change this to miles per hour? Even though I prefer kilometers per hour, it doesn't make sense here. So I'd like to change that.
Oh,
Did you have to
gotcha.
change that? Because I don't remember ever changing that on mine. It's just set to kilometers.
I want to say if you look in this screen, I went back in GPS speed where I can set the range. The problem
Yes.
is it's grayed out here, and I can't change it to kilometers per hour. I could be wrong about this, but I believe you have to actually go into the AIM software when you import the data, and you have to set the data to be imported into kilometers per hour to begin with. I don't think you can change it on the fly. But if I Google around, I might be able to find that information. But I have run into that problem before. It's grayed out and I can't change it on the fly.
Okay, so how the heck were you able to compare our data? Because this so like right here I pulled the test data that you sent me, and
Uh-huh.
then I opened one of mine. So if mine was recorded as kilometers, yours as miles, what is it doing? Or how were
Oh,
you able to compare it, right?
that's interesting. So I have my test open here, the one that I did at random. Let me go into and find your data here because I saved it in documents. And oh, that was at Speed Sports though. Well, let me do Speed Sports as an example. So I'm going to open the rental track. It'll take a second here. And then I'm going to close just to show you how to compare the data here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to close my Katie test. Hopefully, my trackpad will click. There we go. And then I'm going to go back to my test database and see if I can find speeds. Where was that? Speed Sports rental track.
Was it? I
Oh,
thought it was at Katie.
well, I'm just using the data that I had from you, and that was from Speed Sports. I
Really?
don't know
Okay.
that you sent me your Katie data.
Oh. Hmm. That doesn't
Nope,
sound
that's
right.
I grabbed the wrong test data again.
Yeah, because I remember you did run some analysis and then you sent me like some observations, and I could swear
Oh,
it
okay.
was from Katie.
Let me see. Rental track. Counterclockwise. Rental track. That's one of the challenges is when you import your data, you have to name the track, for example, and whatever you name it, that's what it's going to remember. So if you have variations, even though it's the same track, it can
Hmm.
make it hard to find things later on.
Yeah.
Let me choose that. Okay, here's one. I'll just grab this first one. These are obviously very different days. Okay, so once I've opened more than one test, it gives me, it's going to give me another item. Here's my best 19. So that one's highlighted, and then I'm going to go choose yours. And 13. I know this software is so complex.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the measures graph. So there's our two data from our best laps in each of those sessions, which are on different days and different times of the year. But you'll see they do align pretty well. So I don't think we had any major speed differences there. So I have yours up here. I can click on this session.
Yeah, and
I'm
I
going
can
to
see
look
it shows there GPS speed is showing
miles per hour.
MP. Yeah.
And then when I look at the other one, for example, down here, mine's in miles per hour, and it does align. So our start finish, because sometimes you'll see one shifted way out of whack. The curve shape itself looks complementary, like it would fit, but it's just misaligned. And realigning those are a pain in the butt. I could give you like a 15-minute demo on just how to align start finish lines.
Jeez.
But this gives us a way. Oh, the other thing is the number of corners here is now wrong. Because if I pull up the track map, remember we're at the rental track at Speed Sports.
Right.
But I still have loaded the Katy track.
Right.
So what I need to do is come up here to map and go to the map manager, and I need to find the Speed Sports rental track and load that. Load for open tests.
Okay.
Now it renumbered all the spots up here. So if I choose turn 5, well, this is Michael named this one turn 5.
Right.
And then I open my map. It should show us where we are on the map for that turn. So it's this turn here.
Right.
Now, the other interesting thing to point out about the map when you're using it is this is the line that you rode when I created the map. So I picked the lap and said create a track map based on that lap.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is, see these turns 1 and 2? Notice how straight they are.
Yeah.
You don't really notice the curve that's actually in the track because when I'm riding the track, I'm straightening out those two curves pretty significantly. So when you look at this map, it's the ridden line and not the boundaries of the track. So it can kind of distort the shape a little bit when you take a look at these. So I can pick a spot on the track. I want to know, okay, where were we at that point? I can go back to my measures graph, and here's the crosshairs. And we're running we're almost the same exact speed at that point on the track. Now I'm hitting my maximum speed right there. I'm not going to be going any faster than that. I'm going to be starting to slow down. Whereas you're carrying a little bit more speed a little bit further through the track at that point.
Right.
But it's nice to be able to take the raw data here and just click on it and then go back to the track map and go, where was that on the track? Oh, so right here, we're both starting to brake for this corner down here.
Okay.
So we can see that I think you were carrying a little bit more speed there. Reaching a little more speed and then starting to brake at about the same time. So you can get really carried away and start comparing 5 or 6 riders, but once you have more than a few lines on there, it makes the data just make your head spin.
Right.
So
yeah, that makes sense. Let's do this if you don't mind. Let me share my screen, show you what I'm seeing here, because there might be some settings that you've tweaked on yours that I haven't on mine. So let's where is it? Share screen. That. There you go. All right, let me know when you can see it.
yeah, there we go.
All right, so I know here is the one you sent me a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I remember at some point I was messing or mucking with the whole, what do they call it? Disable app.
Oh, yeah.
Filter it down. I mean, I was really mucking with it. I'm not even sure why I was going that route as opposed to just like discarding the very first and then, oh, I remember why. It was because I hadn't noticed like that we could select the laps we want for comparison
Yes.
down here.
Yes.
It wasn't until 15 minutes ago when you showed that I'm like, oh, that.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So that was one thing. Now let me pick, let's see, one of my latest ones. There we go. That one. Here we go. Okay, so here, all right, what is the best lap here? That's 16. It's selected, so we have it there. Good. And we have your 52 there. Okay, good. Now we go measures graph.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that here, like I'm seeing all these things, which is probably the default setting. I didn't see any of that on yours.
Gotcha. So if you look on the left side of the screen, you probably have the checkbox inline acceleration, for example, in purple. And if you turn those off, it'll remove those from the data display and start simplifying what you're seeing on the graph.
So we don't want that. What about, why do I have two? Are those from the two sessions?
Those are, and the problem is when you're looking at those, they're the same color for you and me, and it's hard to tell which one is which because it also doesn't tell you whose session they are from.
Right. Now, are those things that I should also be disabling here?
So if you look down under your name on the left side, you'll see GPS speed in green, and it's kilometers
Yep.
per hour. So that's one of the
Yep.
reasons our traces look different.
Well, but yours up here is also showing.
Oh,
See that?
really?
Yeah. So I
Oh,
noticed on mine, it's like it.
gotcha. Looking at the first two GPS speed accuracy.
Oh, my connection just dropped for like 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, I can still hear your audio anyway.
Perfect. So yeah, so I mean, whatever that is, it's showing both yours and mine as kilometers per hour. I have to figure out how to change that.
That's
But yeah,
interesting. So that really does reinforce. I thought it was embedded in the data itself. So there is a setting where you can change that. Can you try
yeah,
right-clicking on GPS speed for one of those and see if it's also grayed out to change it to miles per hour? There you go.
it is.
Yeah, it's grayed out. So there's got to be a setting in one of the other menus to
Yeah,
figure that one out.
right.
This also, the plotting scale is 20 to 100 miles an hour. So
No, this is I
kilometers per hour.
changed.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because it was showing like 320. It
Mm,
was like 0 to 320, which is like
yeah.
no, not on the NSR.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Okay, so all right. So like I noticed like on yours, it's not showing all this business up there.
Yeah, so that should be over on the left side where you have the measures and everything listed. It
Right.
should be just a matter of scrolling the list and figuring out what needs to be turned on and off.
Okay, so
Um,
then GPS speed and accuracy. I mean, if I turn off GPS speed, then the whole
uh-huh.
thing goes away. See? Or is it redoing it?
Yeah, yeah,
No, everything
so,
goes away.
oh, and it's only from that one?
Yeah, so I need to keep GPS speed. I guess that's the green line here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what the second trace is there. Usually the color green kind of tips you off.
Oh, and somehow I've
There's a gray
lost
bar at the
the
top.
scale here. See that?
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Oh,
Click on it.
huh. Plotting scale.
Not
Apply
shown.
and exit.
12 and So the other thing we could try to do is change the color.
Right. Let's look in the. Oh, just a sec. Hey, Brian. Thanks for joining in, man.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Yeah, I keep seeing. That's what's happening. I'm seeing like a blue bike here on the side. I'm like, I know that bike. What's coming in? What's happening?
Since you've seen it, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like what? That I don't remember Michael having a blue bike like that.
She's all ready to go, but I'm still
Jeez.
not done with my truck. Trying to get the
Yeah.
At some point, what's left on the truck?
Well, I just put the tranny back together. You can see it right there, and then I got to put the heads on the block and the water pump, the knock sensor
Mhm.
cover, and then just marry them together and put it in. So it's not too much. I was just too dead today to work on it.
Time just has to add up.
Yeah, but
Cool.
I guess y'all are planning on going this weekend.
I
think
am not.
Claudio's gonna go.
Well, I'm going to ECR this weekend. I think CMRA is happening this weekend, right? The final round at MSRH.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm not going. I didn't do any racing this year, and then for next year, I don't know. We'll see.
Mm.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Right on,
Cool.
guys. Have a good
Awesome.
rest of the. It's good talking to you, and
Thanks, Brian.
hopefully,
Are you racing this weekend?
like I said, I'm trying to. I'm
Oh,
planning
you're
on
trying
it.
to.
If make it, I'm gonna have to get a ride to the track probably. See if my dad
Right.
can take me Friday morning, and then just stay there till Sunday night.
Yeah, and just leave it.
Yeah, leave the bike and everything, and then maybe even sleep at the track. But
Right.
Have you had any test runs on the bike yet?
no, that's what Friday would be.
Mm.
So
One of those. Make sure the chain's tight.
yeah, no, I mean everything is. I checked it and I did all the safety wiring and everything, but I
Mhm.
just truly broke it in and tested her.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to make it to Ride Smart this weekend, but that didn't work out either. It's just been a rough go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's only so many days left this year.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to do this last one, and then I'll have 3 months until next season. But
Yeah.
I was wondering about the registration. I guess I'd still have to pay full registration fees too, since I haven't paid them this year, just for this one race.
Oh, wow. That's a lot to make up.
Yeah, I have a
One session.
credit for the Friday practice, so that's a free 170, and then it would be like 500 to do four races and the registration.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Claudio, the thing I was going to say, looking at this graph, I know what's wrong with it at this point. Start, finish are not aligned.
didn't see you.
That's what I was afraid of. Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to use the lap insert function to be able to set these up.
Lap insert. I remember seeing
Yeah,
lap
'cause-
insert somewhere, but I have no idea how to operate that thing.
Gotcha. So if you click on the tab, okay, so you're on the right screen, but if you look on the right side of the screen where it says view only enabled laps, there's a button
Yeah.
that says GPS lap insert under that. And ordinarily, if that's active, what you can then do is click the button. It will allow you to choose the start finish line, and then it will load it for your session. Then you'll go over to the other session that you want to compare and do the same thing. You'll hit that GPS lap insert button. You can specify where the start finish line is, and it'll align both sessions. Now, this is the problem I talked about before. You have my session open here. Remember you said, do I need to export the 4 files or only
Yeah.
one? And what happens is GPS
Ah.
lap insert, if it's grayed out, you're missing one of the other files when you load it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
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 So you have it there for yours because you have all 4 files. Go ahead and click the button for GPS lap insert, just so you can see what it
Okay.
looks like. Now what
Okay.
you're going to do is on the left side of this window, you can set the start finish line from a previous test if you wanted to, or you can use some of the other options to indicate where start finish is. You can then click somewhere on the track if you happen to know where start finish line is,
Yeah.
or if you don't know where it is, just find a fixed point on the track that you can easily click on your session and then go into my session. And as long as you put that point at the same spot on the track, it'll give a pretty good approximation to line up those graphs. But that's why those 2 graphs were so far shifted off. It just doesn't know where to.
Okay. So yeah, so if I do this, say confirm lab, yes, yeah, that looks
Once you
okay.
set that, it's going to recalculate all of the labs.
Okay. Okay, so let me do this. Instead of grabbing yours, since it's missing that file, let me grab another one of mine. Because then I would expect it to look somewhat similar. So
yeah, if it came off the same lap time, generally they should line up. It would be kind of hard.
Right. So yeah, if I pick like this one and okay, I have the 2 and then I go measure. Holy cow, that's now out of whack. Let's see. Lab manager, so it's set. Oh, because that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say a really good point
there.
is the pit out, where it crosses the track, where the pit out is. That's a good repeatable point because you almost always enter the track at the same point.
That is, and that's where I have mine set because I remember when I first set it. Actually, Seth showed me how to do it, and we just walked up to that point on the track. I think that's why mine is set there.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I just moved them both for like what I think is the actual start finish there.
Yeah.
Just to see if that would make things look better here.
Now, you do have to do it for both sessions. So you have to open the first session, set the GPS lap insert, pick the point. Then you have to go to the second set of data and do the same thing again.
That's what I just did, but it didn't seem to save it. So like here, I set it, it's there. And say continue. Bam. Confirm. Yes.
So it's recalculating everything. So hopefully it did it that time.
Yeah, so that's that. Let me go to the previous one. Do the same thing here. Huh. Why is it letting me do it here? That's odd. Oh,
that's
sorry.
a little unexpected.
Yeah, no, it's sorry. I had selected this one. Yeah, I was just on the wrong one. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, calculated. It's happy with that. Okay. So
now
that looks better.
That's it still doesn't look right though.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just the variation in your writing because I can't see the scale on the left side what the speed range is.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure if this is zoomed in or not.
Yeah.
Because see how your speed drops below the lower line there? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was mucking with the the mouse wheel, and then it changes the zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to make the plot thing show up here. Maybe that. Oh,
Well, no, that's
plot
completely different data.
versus
That's plot versus
frequency. Yeah, that's
frequency.
not the one. I'm wondering if it's any of these things here. GPS data, what is that? No. Only
So
showing.
that's only showing from pit out to the start finish line. So it's not getting the full lap for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's why we're not seeing the whole thing. What the heck?
Yeah, and that's also why it's starting from essentially 0 kilometers per hour on the left side of the graph.
Right.
So,
Huh. Oh, hold on. I think here it's not okay. It selected the first lap. That does not work, right?
yeah. It's an
So
incomplete lap. So if you disable that lap, it also
I
prevents
didn't
it
pick.
from.
That's weird. So I was looking for that 57 something lap. I guess this one, for example. So that's lap 12. Okay, I can select
Yeah,
it there. Okay,
there
that
you go.
okay. That's better. Oh, what about I forgot to look at the other session because yeah, now that's all
Yeah,
screwed up.
getting close.
Yeah. So oh,
Switch back to the other one.
oh yeah. Got
There you go.
that. And that's 12 too? Oh, okay.
No. At the bottom of the
Oh.
screen, Claudio, there's 2 different tabs. You have to be careful on the left side of that column. There you go. I know it's not user intuitive at all.
This drives me absolutely insane because
Yep.
it's tabs here, it
Yep.
tabs here, it tabs here, it tabs here. It's like, guys, oh my God,
That's
this
why I
is
want
bad.
5 monitors just to fit it all in.
Well, even if you do have, that's not going to help because the way the software is built, you cannot split these things into a different window. So it doesn't help. It was not designed to actually be like, multi-monitor friendly. Other than the map thing, right? The
Yeah.
show track map, which shows in a
Yeah.
different window.
Yeah.
Like this one, yes. But everything else, like if I wanted to see this bottom part in another monitor, I can't.
Yeah.
Right? Or this part here, I can't.
I swear there was a way to do that. I've seen a YouTube video on how to do that, but
Yeah.
you're right. It's not intuitive, and I don't remember how to do it, but I know it is possible to break it out.
Okay, this one, all right, I take that back. This one has a little
There you go.
holder
There you
thing
go.
here. So that one, yes,
Yeah.
that one we can. But I think the other, the let's see, the inside ones, like if I wanted to get this one.
Yeah, I think that's always in the main window. I don't
Yeah.
think that one can be broken out.
All right. Okay. So that, yeah. So that we said it's a 12, and this one is.
Yeah.
See, I don't know which one it is.
I know exactly. Well, it'll tell you which one's the fastest one if you disable that incomplete lap. Right click on it, choose disable lap. Then you never have to see it again.
What? It doesn't let me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look at that. I don't get the enable disable thing on this one. Maybe I need to click on another one. No. See, all the other ones allow me.
Oh, that's very odd.
Yeah, I don't get it.
That's usually the first thing I do when I open my sessions is just that first lap because it's always incomplete. I just disable it.
Yeah, and I've been doing that too. But this one,
it must be using it for another calculation for some reason.
there you go. There was okay, I figured that out. There was one option here was hide slice. I clicked that. Now I have the other options. Like,
there you go.
Look at that. Show slice, hide slice, whatever that is. Man, okay, so I'm lost. Okay, this one is the 57. I wanted to see the one that has a 56 something. I think it's this one. Yeah, here you go. So I want to see this one. So
17.
that's 17. Why can't why
You can't get to
dude?
the end.
This it goes one at a time. What the heck? No, I cannot see 17 here. Oh,
Oh, are
am I
you
in
on the
the
wrong
wrong one?
test? There it
Oh,
is. There it is.
dude, this is beyond me.
Oh, I know.
This, you see, today I had a session with my coworkers about, user experience, UX design,
Yeah.
and this makes me scream and yell at my computer right now.
This is one of the reasons why I always want to ride on a Saturday so that I have the Sunday after while I'm sore to actually go and look at my data because I need to sit with it for minimum an hour to get through all this kind of crap.
Yeah, this is so bad, man. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of practice.
It does.
But now your data's looking better. And if you look at that lower graph, you can see where you're making up time and where you're giving away time between the two laps.
Right. Oh, like here, this is a big thing. So, like, for instance, looking over at the
Yeah,
map. Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's a big difference there. Or it looks like. I mean, am I reading that?
I
That's
don't
what
know. It's grayed out on my side. It's not actually showing up on the video for some reason.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, we've
huh.
run out of video RAM or something.
Huh. That's odd. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that's looking better. So now I wonder if I look at that, what did I do there? Show GPS or something like that. View GPS data. Does it show the whole track yet? That's
Yeah, so you can actually see the two lines together, and you can also see your position on the track relative to each other.
right.
And you can also go to the view menu, and you can also play those two laps against each other and actually watch them in real time. Go down to lap replay.
Lap
It's the one
replay.
under that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's doing something. Huh. Whoa, whoa! The
Is
app
it
just
actually
crashed.
going?
No,
Oh.
the app completely crashed.
Oh. Yeah, I lost the video completely as well. I think you were just sharing the application rather than your screen, but as soon as you clicked that, it went out completely.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Never mind.
anyway,
I'll come back to it. But yeah, this was very helpful, man. I really appreciate it.
yeah, it's one of those on the video. Just we'll put the time index, and you can just jump to the part of the video where it's the good 60 seconds.
Right, right,
Just
right.
yeah, this software really needs video editing if you're trying to do how-tos.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Brian.
Brian.
Bye, guys. Y'all have a good
uh,
night.
you too, man. I hope everything works out and you get to race. And then if you do, good luck.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I'll definitely share with you guys if I'm able to make it.
Your
Awesome.
body ready for it?
Yeah,
Conditioned, little yoga?
yeah, lots of stretching and yoga and exercising. Being a full-time mechanic is a very stressful or stressful on your body type job. I wasn't conditioned for it, but it's
Yeah.
getting stronger every day.
Wow.
Yeah, take care of your back, man, being leaned over all the time. Geez.
Yeah, that's a constant thing. I have a good chair with a thick seat, and then
That's good.
take breaks every once in a while and go lay on a hard floor and just let your spine kind of reset and lay out.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
Excellent.
hopefully you'll have your truck back and we'll be riding together at some point again.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be real soon. I was trying, going for tomorrow to get it all back. It's really close, but maybe
Yeah.
next week, and then I can hit some of the upcoming track days, hopefully.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there's only a few left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw there's one November 7th, and isn't there a November Coda as well? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be missing Kodo with my damage. I don't think I'm going to be healed up by then. I'm bummed about